Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Become Successful with your host, Yemi Osho. On this episode, I bring to you another important personality in person of Curtis James Jackson, 3, popularly known as 50 Cent. He was born in New York City in July 6, 1975, and he's an American rapper, actor, and businessman. Please sit back, relax, and listen to Top 10 Success Tips by 50 Cent, Curtis James Jackson.
Right.
So I want to talk about the fearlessness because I don't think there's anybody in pop culture who exemplifies that as much as you do. So where does that come from, and how has it been an advantage for you over the years throughout the different stages of your
Just
career?
my experience. Like I've somehow ended up under circumstances where I've been up against the toughest things in the environment that I come out of before any success takes place. Then the I always say if there was someone to run and go get, I would have ran and got them, but I have to run get me. So I had to come back myself every time. So that it just makes me not look at what would be the bigger situations in front of me or harder circumstances don't seem so rough to me no more. You know, like because I've already been up against the toughest things, the biggest obstacles. Like if you, I think take this for granted, right? If for example, if you almost 90% of the time I'm communicating with people who've achieved a higher level of education than me, right? They're college graduates, things like that, and what I hold on to is they wouldn't have made it under the circumstances that I came up under. And, you know, if the information that you needed in the business classes were in the book, if everything you needed was in the book, then the teacher would be too successful to teach the class. The A students don't usually go off to be the head of the field that they're studying in. Like if you look at it, you know, a lot of the C students and people that can not just return the information long enough to pass midterms, but internalize some of the information and behaviors, that they turn out to be more successful than those people who easily pass the class. You know? Some people get in regimen, they get trained, they get comfortable with school, and they can just do school well. You know what I mean? And then when you put them in the real world, that's not school.
Speaking of boxing, I started boxing recently.
Yeah,
Definitely not as long as you.
that's good for you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It's been totally life changing. You know,
No, that's
the
good.
trainer that I have, um, Billy Markle is his name. He's been a tremendous positive influence for me, and I want to hear more about how a law understanding
Oh, yeah.
helped to shape you. Age 12, I think it was, police athletic league gym.
Yeah.
You know what? Because I imagine that was a really vulnerable time in your life, I
Right,
guess, where
right.
you could have been molded, you know, for worse or for better,
Yeah.
had someone like him not come along.
And we had a tougher, the environment was tougher. So it's like, there was really no excuses. Like if you did what he told you to do, you would have good performance. If not, then you go home a little punch drunk. And they didn't have weight classes. Like we didn't have people that came in like that were consistent. So it was like, I would be fighting a lot of kids that felt like they should beat me because they were older. And it's like, yo, you know, like that is the mental advantage on that level. But that kind of faded after a while once I got into the groove of doing things. And I'm just fighting, and it just changed my attitude anyway because it made me not care about fighting. Every time I sparred, I felt like I was in an actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it would, because I was doing it every day, I didn't mind being in a fight. you know, and then that I didn't adjust well because I took that right across the street with me. Like it's like right off into the neighborhood with the same stuff that I had from the gym. And it was like, I just didn't mind the altercation. So if someone says something and I was like, oh, like you want to fight, then it immediately goes to let's do that. I didn't mind if I had a black eye or if it didn't actually go right, it wasn't the part of it. It was just more the fight. It adjusted me to fight, you know. And when you have someone who's training you that really don't, I think the neighborhood had them. It was really, it was rough, you know what I mean? So they kind of taught us to not be affected by things, like to be harder than the actual neighborhood that we're in. You know, that's what made the element feel like that, like, because the people were. Like, all of the stuff that I experienced were things that they would go, yeah, that shit happens. Like, it's not new, it's not, you know, it's not odd.
I feel like the best thing that good I never understood the bullying label that was always attached to you, because like even in that moment with Holyfield, you were really empathetic.
Yeah.
You know, you were putting yourself in his shoes and seeing where he was at, and you know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. You know, why do you think people give you that label?
Well, no, when I get focused, right, and then anyone who's extremely focused could be considered ruthless at points. Because if they get in the way while I'm trying to do what I'm doing, I just knock them out the way. So they feel like you're a bully, but it's really me channeling on what I'm trying to do at the time. Like a lot of, even you saw Jadakiss and them just win the versus thing, but we didn't actually have issues. They were collateral damage at that point with John and them, because doing 100 guns, 100 clips on from New York, it was in a time period where they were giving him, resuscitating him.
Yep.
You know, both Jadakiss and Fat Joe at that time period. And then when that happens, I just went off and got them too. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just, with the momentum in that time period, see, the reason why the stuff is not really exciting to me is because they're trying to rewrite the history, right? The records are they're already charted on Billboard. You already made the money from it. You already done that. I don't need to relive that part of it,
Right.
that experience. I appreciated it while I was doing it.
Right.
You know, but I watch, the most ruthless people that you run into are going to be people that are just focused and not necessarily taking your life into consideration while they're taking theirs. So it's like the district attorney's office that she wants the conviction so she can move up and her career can be good. She'll give you 100 years. And you look and go, why so much? Like, why do you have to do that? And it was like, what? You did it. In her mind, it's her doing her job and her moving up to the next level, and she'll just knock you over. You just become collateral damage, you know? And the people that, I know, look, there's more ruthless people in the business world and in the street. You know, like they just have subtleties to their tactics. How they do things it's more, you know.
Suit and tie.
Yeah, it's not confrontational. It's just, you know, but they're doing it right in front of you. You know, how they're structuring the actual deal and things that they're doing. It's like taking the money for you. Look, robbery, at least it will give you the courtesy of showing you the gun, so you can have those anxieties and feel those feelings that you would feel when you're being robbed. They'll do it on a piece of paper where you feel nothing. And just rob you right there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same tactics with a different approach. And a lot of them, the people that do this comfortably, like handing the contract, the thing that they're not conditioned for is direct conflict. And that the circumstances I grew under, I absolutely have to be prepared for it. Like the fighters, they look good after they have 8 weeks of training and they focus their mind for 8 weeks straight. You got 8 seconds in the street. You got 8 seconds to adjust and do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? It's not like it's gonna be we can go home and think about the fight before you run into the person. I don't know, like a lot of it, each thing that you put up against, right, is how you adjust to things too. I think because you're gonna have peaks and valleys, or have things change in your career at a point, and you feel like, is it at a high or is it at a low? You can't even, because the money is still coming in. You don't feel like there's a change in finances and stuff like that. But you'll see things that you go, wait, I don't understand why they're doing this. Even now in film and television, I'll look around and go, wait, what is this? Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, why'd they pick this up?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't understand what's going on, then I'm not sure I'm as good as I think I am. Right? If you're confused at how the operation is working, then you don't know. If everything I pick is working, I feel great about that. But you go, what is all the other stuff that they're picking?
Right.
What is that? Like, how much does that equate to as far as the audience that they have at the network, or why are they doing it? You know, and just trying to understand that, because I guess eventually I'll be the network.
Mm-hmm. From, and then getting to where you were, and like you talk about this in the book too, sometimes the hardest part about success is actually sustaining it.
Yeah.
So how in the world did you manage to parlay all of that success, given where you came from,
Mm-hmm.
given the temptations of the lifestyle, most of which you don't participate in? How did you come to develop this understanding of all these different components that are necessary for one to not just succeed, but then sustain and grow that success?
Well,
I imagine they weren't teaching accounting and
Oh,
all these other
absolutely.
things.
No. And I lost money. You don't see my losses. Like, it happens, periodically because, look, I don't usually see people excited leaving the tables in Vegas if they didn't put chips on the table. You make investments in different things. Sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. More losses than wins, but when you do win, you win so big, it makes up for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the journey, the experience. And then when I shift to do things in a different way, like, people look now and say, like, they're feeling momentum of me in television now, right? But I started this 10 years ago. I raised $200 million. We broke it into 10 pictures. We sold domestic rights to Lionsgate, and went out and sold the international territories as we could with those films. I did it twice. Then the relationship with Barry and Stan at Lionsgate and Grindstone is where the rights from BMF came from. You see what I'm saying? Like, these things are happening so far back that I damn to try and catch up now.
You planted the seed for this 6 years ago, was it?
Well, the rights was about 6 years ago. It took 4.5 years for us to get to this point. I sold us to Stars 4.5 years ago. This is why it feels the way it feels coming out, because I've been promoting it for 4.5 years. Like, the audience already knows what BMF is, but they know, for them, BMF is blowing money fast, because they know that the heyday of them financially reaching Terran and being in that position and what they could do financially at that point. But because they're looking at me. You see what I'm saying? And I know what it is, so I look at it and I go, okay, I got that. But there's going to be people unhappy with the success that you have, regardless. They'll, without knowing who you are, individual could look and just judge you and say, I don't like that. He had that diamond goat on his neck. Why'd he put that there? You got to be a certain kind of person because he liked diamonds. All right? And then they could just assume that anything they would like to register negative, they can just register it negative. Some people, they have the trait of, like, let's say the person's across the street, they look at you, they don't like you from across the street. Some people feel the need to go across the street to say, why, I'm a good person. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't give a fuck about how those people feel about me across the street, because they don't care about me. Is it okay for me not to care about people that don't care about me? I mean, like the simple things. Like if you look and you go, if it would be entertaining for them to see me in crisis.
Right.
So if you saw that and you go, why would you care about a person who would like you to see you under the worst circumstances you could be under?
And enjoy it.
Look at Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. Pigtails, the schoolgirl dress, right? Hottest thing that she's done in music, the image of her at that point. Then when you see her with her head shaved off and she's swinging the umbrella at paparazzi, that picture is as famous as those other images of her. And they paid for one to be marketed and promoted to the general public, big money to make a career. The other one was free to see the confusion in her personal life going on. That was free. They promoted that for free because it was exciting to see it go down. Then when you see you go up, they'd like to see you come down. It's the artist community that does this. It's your fellow artists that does this to you because they look and they go, if you go up and you stay up, then I'm gonna have my shot. This is why they go, oh no, the first album was fire. You don't notice everybody's first album is fire? Why do they say that? They say that it's every artist. They'll go Illmatic, they'll go Reasonable Doubt, they'll go Get Rich or Die Trying, they'll go Biggie, Ready to Die. All these albums, the first album. They'll pick that one and say that one was a classic. No matter what they do afterwards, they won't compare that material to that album, right? And I don't know, man. I think for me, it's not like I'm enjoying it because look, I try not to let things that affect me that I can't change.
Right.
You know, you can't change publicly how people perceive you. At points you see the harshest things ever. You think the timing will just be you just be in an emotional state where you can't really or not you're not tough at the moment. You're sensitive because you're not paying attention and you see some shit publicly that a person said about you that you go, whoa. And it really bothers you that the person just said that, no matter who you are. You know, and I just don't allow that to create I didn't allow it to create a new vulnerability for me. I allowed it to not matter.
Social media seems to be Empire was similar to what you did with Kanye when you had
that was different. See, the Kanye thing was, we had both done the cover of Rolling Stone. Both had albums coming out, and there was no possibility of getting back on the cover of Rolling Stone unless we were doing that competition thing. And that was a part of the let's make it as big as possible, like the biggest leverage possible going into the record.
Was that collaborative? Like, did you guys say, like, okay?
We had to collaborate on it to do it. It was no beef. Like, if there was beef, we couldn't stand. We stood close enough to each other to take that picture. Like
that wouldn't happen if there was real.
No,
I think history has shown that wouldn't. That's not how you handle things. Do you think that's kind of like what? Do you remember the Conor McGregor and Mayweather fight?
Yeah.
You know, apparently that was also like a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
Do you imagine that's how a lot of these things pan out?
You know, a lot of, not all of them, but a lot of it's like that. Like they're aware. At that point, they're trying to make excitement for a fight. You know what I'm saying? And build up as much, because then people are gonna hit the pay-per-view button. It directly translates into dollars for them. And then like what we did when I ran around, like when me and Floyd, when they were visibly able to see our relationship. Because Floyd, we've been friends since 2002. He traveled to Puerto Rico, Big Show Power Summit, to be out there while I was doing my thing. Was already a big fan of mine and supported me. You know what I'm saying? So it just was so much success that in both two different directions that they didn't see it until later when things slowed down a little bit and they got a chance to hang out with each other. But there was a point where I'm looking at things and I'm going, yo, we kind of got the wrong messaging point. Because we're saying we got all the money in the world, we're going to burn it, we're going to get it again, so what? And they're repeatedly watching us do this. And we're in the middle of a recession. at the time. But his numbers were going up at that point. You know what I mean? So when you say change it, he goes, nah, you do that, Five. Because it's going up. Like, he said something to me one time, very simple. He said, what a prize fighter fight for? And I'm like, and he said, the prize. So it's okay for you to watch the fight. Don't nobody watch Floyd fight to see how amazing he is. They watch it for the opportunity to see him lose.
Right.
Because they don't like him. They don't like him because everything that he says is about money. There's nothing else. There's no values. There's no, like, the people's champ, like Ali was standing for the same things.
Right.
The audience was standing for. You know, he doesn't have any of that. It's just money. You know what I'm saying? And that, he knows you don't like him.
Is that the point, you think?
Well, it didn't matter because the numbers was going up.
Right.
When I was saying we should change it, I went and partnered with the United Nations World Food Program, provided a meal through the United Nations for every energy drink that was sold, and did some different things to kind of shake that off of me after I got away from that.
Is that when you went? What is the what's been the most impactful experience that you've had up until this point? You know, just in your career. Maybe that's even like moved you personally. You know, like was it seeing how they were living out there and the contrast? Was it, you know, maybe even like the relationship with you and Sire, right? I remember in the book you said that, you know, family was always the one thing that was difficult for you.
Yeah.
You know, happy belated birthday to him too.
I like that.
You know, what's been the most transformative thing for you?
Well, you know what's crazy is that I know, like, I've experienced a lot, saw a lot of different things traveling, but probably the biggest thing is still my relationship with him. You know, because he's been, like, the opportunity to get to those places came by way of that. Like, I don't believe I would have toured and done the same, had the same experience if I hadn't had the support of him in that time period. And it was not like I wasn't 100% prepared for it. Because he looks at it as the most comfortable relationship because you didn't have to overhelp me into the position. It's like, yo, no, this is gonna be next. And I did everything that I was supposed to do for it to go. So it was like, it just went. And he'd always ask for, he would ask, like, yo, could you do this for me? And I'm like, bro, I'm on your label. I got it. Like, you're the boss right now. Like, this is how we do this. But he would ask me to do it. Instead of, you know, like, I mean, like, it's an interesting relationship because he just has a different way of, this is why, like, even if you haven't seen him perform in a film since 8 Mile.
Right.
And then he shows up when I'm directing the film, and it does something to catapult even this success to a new position because it's a basic gesture, a basic thing that he's doing for me. But it's still to move you up however I can, from his ability. If he can use himself to help me, he'll do it. And I mean, it's tested and proven because it wasn't like a thing from me. Randy Hudgens is the writer showrunner for BMF.
Okay.
And when I was directing episode 7, he came and said, "Oh, we just need to do something. We need something big, like." And I'm like what? And he was like, "If we could just get get Eminem to play White Boy Rick." And I'm like, let me just call him and see what he said. You know?
That's awesome.
And then he did it. You know what I mean? But he didn't have to do that. Like, I've traveled to Detroit. They've offered me films that they want to pay him $8 million to be in the movie. And I come to him and they give me the script because they feel like he'll do it. His agents felt like that's a good idea. Now give it to 50 and then let 50 take it to them and it'll work. Because he'll look at it like it would be us doing it. instead of him going to do a movie. Like me and 50 will be on the movie, so this will give us a reason to be in the same place together for some time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the like he would look at it and go, nah, I think we should do something like the Warriors, like,
Huh.
you know, like we should just bring that back, the energy. And what's crazy is it's turning more into the Warriors out here.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, what's happening in cycle, like you see all of this new gang culture all over the place.
Tribalism.
Yeah, it's starting to turn. So it may be a time to do that at some point.
Hmm. All right. Well, 50. I think it's. I think time's up, but I just want to ask you one more thing. You know, if you could go back in time and give young Curtis one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would have started writing music way earlier. I'd have skipped all of the stuff that I could have possibly, because all of this could have changed. You could have got killed long before the music started. I was in life-threatening situations a lot. I think that adjusts your character though, so it did turn into my behaviors in the music. The things you go through make you who you are, right? So, but I would probably skip that. Like I look at Michael Rainey, like Lil Meech and them, like they come in. These guys are over. Michael Rainey was on the show. He was 12, bro, on Power. He's gonna be, boy, you've been on forever. Like if you've been at 12, you got the gig and you already working, getting money. When did you not get money? Or did you not have, he's been successful. He's gonna be able to one of those guys that say, I've been successful my whole life. My whole life. Since 12 on the show. Now he's the lead actor on Ghost. Like when you see that, it's incredible, man, because it's the youngest character and one of the guys that you see but you don't see him, and now he's the actual at the forefront of the show, and one of the driving forces of why it's being successful now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I look at that and go, damn, like if you was channeling your energy earlier, could you have been successful in a different way and skipped all of the harder parts of the actual life experience that you had and been able to do it? I think I could have entertained a little bit. I would have been able to rap, right? I just would have been saying something a little different, right? It just, but it's not a part of the actual success. I'm being successful doing things that are a lot different from what I was doing at that point. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. Like I had a kid that I was mentoring for a little while. The kid was a bad kid, bro. Like he was just a bad kid, right? But he was in love with everything about all the wrong things about me. You know what I'm saying? And in the very beginning, I'm like, yo, why does he keep doing this? Like he would just do little things and you see it come out. Not trying to be bad, but he just couldn't help it. And then I'm like, yo, what? So we constantly talk back and go back to the things that he knew about me from prior to the success. You know, and I look and I go, yo, no, but you know, that's not what worked. And he was super smart. Like, that's not what worked. That shit didn't work. You're going to jail and all of this other stuff. But that, yeah, I did that. I'm happy that I got past that to do other things. But he just saw it one way. And, you know, it went on for a while. But that was one experience that I had that was interesting, that because I really liked the kid. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted to be bad. He just wanted to do that. Like if I was in the street, he would be perfect to run under me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not doing that. You know?
What do you so what do you do in a situation like that? Like to salvage, you know, can you salvage the bad seed? You know,
you can be positive influences for them, but look, in the city, there's a million influences. This is why Middle America follows the youth culture in these environments. They look to see what they're doing. They're making adult decisions early. You know what I'm saying? They're key. The kids are key out here. You know what I'm saying? They already made that adjustment. They already know within that culturally what they're doing, that this is their lifestyle and what they're doing. And the court system sentences them as adults. They're still babies. They haven't developed, but they already made the choice. There's positive influences, there's negative influences, there's a lot of things around that you can actually do. Like, you look at YouTube, man. It's pretty much every skill set you're looking for you can find on YouTube. You can find some information about what you're trying to do on that joint, and not even have it be something for you to sit and read. You're watching them explain it to you. You know, so I don't know why it's not clearer that there's less limitations. Like, you're not limited the same way you were in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't have YouTube in Queens.
Yeah,
It wasn't.
none of that shit was there.
None of that.
Yeah, where you was going to get the information from to think outside of that environment and see the possibilities of different things that you might want to do, and actually be able to find information to occupy yourself with learning it. You know?
All right.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Become Successful with Yemi Osho. What are those points that resonate with you? I'd like to read them from you. Kindly comment on those points by Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent. And if you've seen this for the first time, please subscribe to this channel and like the video, share with family and friends. If you're seeing this on my Facebook page, please follow me and like my video, share with family and friends. And also, do not forget to leave your comments. I would like to read from you. Tell me who you want me to feature on the channel, top 10 success tips that you want to see, and then give recommendations as well. And I will see you on the next episode. Peace.